A few months back, I posted a video about my trip to the Seibuen theme park outside of Tokyo. Not to brag, but the reason I was there was to ride this. That is the one and only Godzilla The Ride, nestled safely in the Japanese countryside, a monument dedicated to one of the greatest experiences I've had in my 40-some-odd years on this planet. If you want to see more of this daring adventure, where I was joined by my good friend Kazuki, as he cooked himself a snazzy little Godzilla sandwich thing, I'd recommend you go over and check out that video after you're done watching this one, of course. But the experience of that day isn't why we're here. This is the Koffers after all, and we're talking about cool collectible stuff on this show. And today's episode is about the official merchandise of that ride. And you guessed it, it's more Bandai vinyls. The official figures for Godzilla The Ride, aka Godzilla -1, the prototype, aka Godzilla -1, the first draft, aka Godzilla -1, the teen years. Now I say that because the ride is directed by none other than Oscar Award winner himself, Takashi Yamazaki, who basically did a warm-up rep before he went deep on hitting the heavyweights with -1. One could argue a theme park ride really set the stage for a movie masterpiece. I mean, not since Johnny Depp and Gore Verbinski got together have you seen anything like that. But like any theme park attraction, there is a gift shop as you exit, so that you'll hopefully spend more money than you really wanted to. And what is on the shelf of that gift shop? Why none other than these two dudes, Godzilla and King Ghidorah, as they appear in the ride. So here you have Godzilla and Ghidorah as they appear in the ride in all of their glorious vinyl form. Both of these guys are officially part of the Movie Monster series, which means they are 6 inches tall. And, they have their ups and downs, which we're about to go into. The upside is, Bandai put a little more effort into these two, as well, they are theme park rides. Much like when you go to Disneyland and you want to get that fancy Star Tours pin for $24.99. It's just a little bit nicer than the pin you would get at your local convention. So let's start with Godzilla. Now I'll stand by that this is arguably one of the better Godzillas Bandai has ever made. It doesn't hurt that he was designed by Yamazaki. He takes all the best aspects of the legendary and hasty designs and kind of smashes them together like one of those old Marvel DC mashup comics from the 90s. Like this guy. The face sculpt alone, I'd argue, is worth every penny of this dude's sticker price. There's an exquisite detailing in the head, and he's got this really mean-ass look. Like he just walked in on someone drinking his last Dr. Pepper. Come on, wouldn't you be mad? There's actually a really solid paint job with the eyes, teeth, and tongue, as you can see here. As for the rest of the sculpt, he's got this very cool wide body stance. Arms are out and adjacent, and much like every Bandai Movie Monster series figure, pretty much that's all it's going to move. Yeah, you get movement at the arms and at the legs, and that's about it. But they are highly detailed, complete with every little inch of bump, spine, and boil that you can find on the big guy's body. It is here, and it is sculpted to the finest precision. And like every Japanese Godzilla, his tail goes all the way into the freaking next county. I'm not sure why this is a thing now, but it's made for some cool designs, but a pain in the butt to display. His tail alone is as long as he is tall. So try putting that on a bookshelf next to your other figures. Yeah, it's taking up some real estate. And as for the rest of this dude, you might be asking, hey, didn't they skimp on the rest of the paint? And I say, how dare you, as he's actually pretty screen accurate. And as for the rest of this dude, you might be asking, hey, did they skimp on the rest of the paint? And I say, how dare you, as he's actually pretty screen accurate. Yamazaki clearly isn't a fan of the spines being a different color, and that's reflected in the figure. Don't believe me? Well, let me show you the tag. With the CG model of the big guy as he appears when you Fred Flintstone down his back in the ride. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty awesome. Now, King Ghidorah, this is a different story. Ghidorah The Ride is like a wyvern, you know, the dragons with the hands on the wings. If you don't know what that is, I'd say go watch the 2002 box office phenomenon that was Reign of Fire if you really want some juicy wyvern action. Christian Bale before he was Batman, and Matthew McConaughey before he had an Oscar. It's a darn good time. But I digress. This is actually a wild departure from most of the previous Ghidorahs. Again, Yamazaki took some inspiration from the legendary design and looked over at the Crustaceous Ghidorah from Mothra 3 and said, you know what would look good? These two. And you can see there, he's got these gnarly beaks and actual arms. Arms on Ghidorah. What an age we live in. It looks like he's been doing preacher curls. No days off, people. You got to get those gains. Compared to Godzilla, sadly though, he's a slight step down. While the overall design of the figure is cool, as Bandai added more detailing to the sculpt, they also cut a few corners. Most notably, look at these horns. Look at these things. They're molded right into the head. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. They did this with the 2019 King Ghidorah, and I am not a fan. This has been something that Bandai's been skimping on. Back in the day, you get some horn action. Today, nah. All one giant molded piece. And it's pretty lazy if you ask me. He does have a better paint job, though, than the other movie Monster Series brethren, with a few touches of highlights to break up that monotonous, monotony yellow that plagued the 2019 figure. I cannot go on about how much that thing bugged me. But that's about it. He does have a tag, so there you go. Take a look. Pretty basic stuff. Now, at the theme park, these two go for about $44 a pop American. Godzilla, though, has been made available outside of the park as of this past year, and even made his way to the US Godzilla store. I wonder why. Ghidorah, though, went pretty fast. He's actually a tad harder to come by, but apparently Bandai is trying to rectify this as by the time you see this video, which means if you want to snag these two, you can head over to the Japanese Godzilla store, import them without having to fly to Japan, take a half dozen trains, and pay $30 to enter the theme park. But if you can, I'm saying do it, because you know what? It's worth the trip. And I'm not going to lie, that ride is pretty darn awesome. This lives up to the hype and everything. This is everything that I dreamed of as a 9-year-old. Remember, go watch the other video. You'll see why. And there you go. Remember, if you like what you see, we do have a show. It's called The Kaiju Kingdom Podcast. You can find us at thekaijukingdompodcast.com. And if you don't like to download, you can also stream us on your favorite podcast streamers, including Apple, Spotify, or wherever else you might get better podcasts. We're also on social media. We're on X at The Kaiju Kingdom, Instagram at The Kaiju Kingdom, and Facebook.com/The Kaiju Kingdom Podcast. And that's it for this edition of the Koffers, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.